On the 9th of May, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, was arrested by paramilitary troops and charged with corruption. The arrest was a culmination of years of bitter hostility between Khan and his PTI party and Pakistan's true power brokers, the military and intelligence services. Though he was popular with voters, Khan was ousted from power in April 2022.
Shehbaz Sharif Saab is declared to have been elected as the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
By the end of the year, Asim Munir, who Khan had removed as head of the ISI spy agency in 2019, was appointed Pakistan's new army chief. Since Khan's arrest on 9th of May, violent protests have spread throughout the country and have included attacks on military institutions. The government called this Pakistan's 9/11 and vowed to be tough on the so-called terrorists and those who incite them, including Khan. Yet Khan has called the attacks a Reichstag fire, a pretext to abolish the constitution and create a state of emergency. On 22nd of May, Imran Khan spoke to the New Statesman contributing writer Bruno and what Khan said he feared could be his last interview, to discuss whether anything can stop Pakistan's slide towards what he sees as a brutal military dictatorship.
You have spoken of a fascist setup in Pakistan right now, mass arrest of your political leadership, also of journalists. Today you tweeted about the Reichstag fire, comparing it to the situation. Do you think Pakistan is on the path to a fascist regime?
I'm afraid we are headed towards martial law. Not just that. I mean, what was not in the tweet is we already now military courts are being set up. There's in one of the provinces, they are going to try people under Army Act. I mean, it is a complete negation of democracy and our justice system. The Constitution doesn't allow it. So my worry is we are heading, firstly, our democracy is being dismantled. And I feel we are heading towards, if not overt military rule. Already the country is run by the army chief.
Do you want to use this interview to tell the army chief what do you think about what is happening?
I have been making overtures, since I was out of power, to the previous army chief, who was instrumental in removing my government. I mean, later on, he admitted that he thought I was somehow dangerous for Pakistan, so he removed my government. But since then, the economy has tanked. We are now in our worst economic crisis in our history. So I kept telling him, I met him twice. I said, look, and the only way out of this crisis is free and fair elections. If you do not hold elections, there will not be any political stability. And without political stability, the economy is not going to stabilize. And the people are suffering today in Pakistan because our growth rate was 6.5%, when we left. And it's now, according to World Bank, it's down to 0.4%. So that's massive unemployment. And the worst inflation in our history. So just to give you an idea, it was 12.4% when we left, is 36.4% today. So there's a lot of suffering going on, unemployment and inflation together. So twice I approached him and I said, look, way forward is a free and fair elections, which will bring economic stability and political stability, a government coming in with a public mandate, and that will then give, the investors and the business community the confidence. But, they figured out that because he had removed me, he figured out that if there were elections, we would win. Because out of the 37 by-elections in the last few months, we won 30. So they were, and the opinion polls are sort of, PTI is north of 70% in popularity now. So he didn't hold elections. Then comes the next army chief, Asim Munir. And, I sent him a message. I said, look, I've heard that, you are coming in with an agenda of this previous Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif, and who obviously wanted someone who was anti-me. So I explained, I said, look, we won't object to your coming to power because there was a technical hitch. We could have, the president could have played a role in sort of stopping him from coming to power. Hitch was that he was supposed to have retired 2 days before he became nominated. A retired army officer could not become army chief. But I said, look, we are not going to stand in your way. All we want is, you to be impartial. And that was the last, message between me and him. This is when he became the army chief.
What would you tell him today? If you talk to him today, what would you tell him today?
I would tell him today that, look, the route he has taken is going to be a disaster for Pakistan. Much worse, it is going to be the distance between the people of Pakistan and the Pakistan army is going to this gulf will widen because, it happened in 1970 when Pakistan had elections and the party in East Pakistan, Mujibur Rahman's Awami League, won the elections. But the Pakistan army, along with Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, they did not concede the elections, did not allow him to become the prime minister. Instead, the army action took place against Mujibur Rahman. And the country was devastated. We lost half our country. So my message to him is we are heading in the same direction now. You can't wish away the biggest party in Pakistan and this oppressive, this incredible, I can't explain. I've never seen such a campaign using the pretext of the arson that took place. They have over 10,000 workers now are in jail. Any supporter worker is shoved in. All my senior leadership is in jail. There are 150 cases on me, 4 terrorism cases when I was in jail. So I had no idea what was going on for 4 days. So this sort of thing has never happened before. Total clampdown on the media. The court decisions are not listened to. The courts give bail. The police again puts our workers in jail or our leadership in jail in another case. So and then our ticket holders are pressurized to leave the party. So 5 or 6 of them have said, look, we are giving up politics. So this sort of thing has never happened. And my advice to him is that this is a disaster for Pakistan. Because when you dismantle democracy of a country, basically you take away their freedom. You take away their fundamental rights which have been taken away. You destroy the state institutions on which a country stands on, like the justice system, like the police, which is now being used, in the way it is.
Can I ask you, this dismantling of democracy and this campaign against your party, whom do you blame for this? Do you blame the army chief, Asim Munir? Do you blame the army? Do you blame the ruling parties?
The ruling parties are very clear. Look, the last 60 years, Pakistan has been ruled half the time by martial laws, military governments, another half the time by these 2 parties, these 2 family parties. They got together against me. They've always opposed each other. They put each other in jail on corruption cases. All the cases against them were not in my time, the corruption cases. 95% were during when they were in power. Now they've got together against me. Their interest is because they gave themselves immunity from corruption cases. The moment I was dislodged, they came back into power, worth $5 billion of corruption cases, which were, on them. So the first thing they did was they came in and they gave themselves immunity. Now they are scared that if I come back and I talk about rule of law, that no one is above law, so they are scared that the immunity will be taken back. On the other hand, the army chief, I think he is just convinced. He's made some statements which are on social media. After this, when I was in jail and this arson took place, the statements he's made are quite frightening. He is now determined in the statements to demolish PTI. So, that's what's coming through. So it's quite frightening. I mean, his mindset right now. So all I can say is that this is a disaster for the future of Pakistan, this course he's taken.
Do you still believe there will be elections this year? May 14 election did not happen. Looking from the outside, it seems more and more unlikely that we'll have elections this year. What is your opinion?
I think there will only be elections if they think that PTI is completely demolished. So either our people will be in jail, or they would be forced to switch loyalties, or like our ticket holders. There were 4 or 5 of them in the last 48 hours have said we're giving up politics, because such is the pressure put on them. Look, the things that are happening, I mean, Bruno, you should just know, I mean, I've grown up with this country. My age is more or less the same as my country. I've seen martial laws here. What has never happened in this country is the way women have been treated by this regime. It's never happened here. Because firstly, women have never participated in politics. So first time PTI is a party which had participation of women, families coming to you can see some of our, on your, you can Google and see some of our big rallies, and you will see big participation of women. But what they have done is they've gone after women, and hundreds of women have been jailed. And we fear what they've done. But even worse, why some of the people are leaving politics? Because they break into people's houses and they do not respect the sanctity of the women, So people can't take this. They can take everything, but they cannot accept the abuse of women. One of our main, who was a minister in our government, they went into his house and they took him, but they took his wife as well. So this is what has never happened here before. And this is what is causing the greatest fear in this country. I mean, the terror right now is about the way families are in the middle of the night, the police barges in, 30, 40 people barge in. I mean, you can actually see videos on CCTV camera. You can see what is happening. It's never happened here before.
Last question, Imran. I don't want to take too much of your time. You're going to Islamabad tomorrow to appear in court. What are your expectations about the day tomorrow?
I have, various bails in anti-terrorism court. Some of them while I was, 4 days in jail, not knowing what happened. 2 of them, I think, they put terrorism cases on me on that. So I've got several cases. I am 80% convinced they will put me in jail because, everyone else is in jail. So I think that's what I think. But then what happens from now? I just think, Bruno, my last word, this is untenable. This cannot go on. I mean, I cannot imagine what will eventually the Supreme Court judges, there are 15 judges in the Supreme Court. Will they allow this sort of dismantling of our democratic structures take place? Will they allow complete violation of the Constitution, the fundamental rights, total muzzling of media? The most frightening thing is one of our best, who had the highest viewership on YouTube, a journalist called Imran Khans. He's disappeared. Before that, one of the best investigative journalists was Arshad Sharif. He had to go out and he was murdered in Kenya. Now, this journalist who's on the same rating as him, he's disappeared. And the court has repeatedly asked to present him in court, and they don't present him in court. So we are scared, they've either tortured him so much, they're waiting for him to recover and then produce him in court. So will the Supreme Court allow this to happen? Because if it does, then the Supreme Court will completely lose its credibility. And what has happened, the way our democracy has evolved, the one thing that evolved over a period of time is our Supreme Court, which asserted its independence. It started in 2007, what was called the lawyers' movement, when General Musharraf removed the Chief Justice, and the lawyers rallied behind, and the country rallied behind the Chief Justice. Since then, our Supreme Court has been quite independent. Now, will they allow this to happen? This is really the big question for us. Otherwise, there's no democracy left. The only hope now is the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court is the only obstacle before martial law and military rule.
Absolutely. I mean, the only thing stopping them right now is the hope that the Supreme Court will take some steps. Already, they have defied the orders of the Supreme Court, because the Punjab, which is 60% of Pakistan, the election was supposed to be held on the 14th of May.
Thank you very much, Imran Khan. We'll be following your journey to Islamabad tomorrow, and also hoping to hear news from Imran Riaz. Thank you again.